Alrighty. All right, we are live. We are live. Just give me a few seconds before we begin, and just so I can get a few things prepped and allow a few people to hop on. Once again, please share this all around the world, all my friends and family on this Reverend Kelley, O.L. Kelley II Facebook page. I got thousands of friends, international friends. Please share this. Please share this to your family and friends. I'm going to cover some very important things. Just give me a second here. Give me a second here so that I can do this. Yep. Yeah, so definitely please share this video to all my friends and family on my Reverend O.L. Kelley II page. I got international friends, thousands of family and friends. Please share this video so that you can get this information. This information is very, very vital. And I think everybody needs it. I'm just going to allow for a few more moments. I'm answering some text messages here. Hang on. Yes. All right, so I'm getting ready to hop right on into it because you guys can go ahead and replay the broadcast, those who can't hop on live. But what I wanted to talk about is the coronavirus, COVID-19, the coronavirus. I hopped on a couple weeks ago and I talked about it because it was alarming to me. Some of the facts that was coming out back then didn't really make sense, but we were accepting them as they came out. For those of you who don't know, the COVID-19 or the coronavirus is a virus that they say started in Wuhan, China, the province of Hubei. They say it originated in a meat market there in Wuhan. They have live animals. They sell live animals, and people buy those animals to cook. You know, all different types of rare live animals that you might not get or see from all around the world is there. Well, they said that somehow a bat, the coronavirus, that it does exist. The coronavirus exists. They say it's prevalent in bats. They say a bat bit another animal, and it normally travels from animal to animal, and somehow it mutated and went from animal to human, and now it's spreading from human to human. I know some of you probably already heard. Since then, I spoke about it, how China has locked that city down completely. In fact, they have over 700 million people on lockdown in China about this disease. Thousands of deaths, thousands and thousands of people affected by this thing. And now it's starting to get outside. It has gotten outside of China, and now it's spreading like wildfire. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because I've been to a few public places where men of color were, the barber shop, the gym. I had different conversations with men and women about this particular virus, and they oblivious to it. Some people say, yeah, I heard a little bit something. I heard about a cruise, or I heard. They're not paying attention to it. And it's very, very alarming. And when I give you this information right now, you'll know why it's alarming. So this video is for all of my unformed people, all my brothers and sisters in the neighborhood who busy. I know y'all working, and I'm trying to put food on the table, and I don't care about nothing. All they play is the election and Donald Trump on the news. I don't pay attention to it. Well, I'm going to be your newscaster today. You know what I'm saying? So I had these conversations, and didn't nobody know anything about the COVID-19 virus. They didn't know anything about it. I mean, and it was alarming. So what I'm going to do is I'm definitely in the comments, I'm going to put a playlist together. I'm going to put the link to a playlist so you guys can get all of the information that's not just from me, but from the World Health Organization, from doctors and scientists who are concerned about this thing, just to get you the information. All right. So here's the facts. Where we stand today, we in my opinion, we are at a global pandemic. A global pandemic means when the whole world is affected by this disease. At first, it was an epidemic. An epidemic, it means that it was isolated to a certain area or region. Now, it's spread outside of China like wildfire. And this is very troubling to scientists and doctors all around the world. And I'll tell you why. First off, because one of you guys go on YouTube or whatever and check out that video from Bill Gates. He said it about 4 years ago. His greatest fear was a global pandemic. And one of those reasons why he said was because we didn't invest. We invest in technology, but we didn't invest in the medical advancement that would help a global pandemic. And we've seen global pandemics take hold of our world. Before, the Spanish flu in 1 year killed 35 million people. The bubonic plague killed 65 million people. Now, I'm not trying to scare nobody, but I want you to be aware of what's going on. All right, so as we stand, there is almost 100,000 infections of the coronavirus. There's over 3,000 cases outside of China. Now, remember, it started in China. And they're saying that 80,000 of those confirmed cases are in China. Now, here is where the problem begins. It's spread outside of China. Now, you heard about the Diamond Princess cruise. There was a cruise that was traveling around those sea areas. And when the word of coronavirus spread, remember, it started in December, allegedly. When word of it finally spread, these cruise ships started looking for places to dock. And countries were saying, you know what, those cruise ships are nothing but a petri dish for disease. You cannot dock here because we don't want you to infect our people. All right, so the Diamond Princess had some people who had coronavirus on it. Japan allowed them to dock there. They docked there, but Japan dropped the ball. So it started with maybe 2 or 3 cases, and then within a matter of days, a week, it spread up to 700 cases and a few deaths of people that had the disease on the Diamond Princess. So most of those people are in hospitals. Some of those people, they tested them, and then they tested negative, and they sent them to their other countries. We got some here in the United States, and I'm going to tell you why that's dangerous here in a second. But so almost 800 people got infected on the Diamond Princess cruise outside of China. That's troubling, right? That was on a cruise ship called the Diamond Princess in Japan. All right, now, another cruise ship called the Westerdam. Now, once again, I'm going to give you this playlist. It's got all of this information. You can Google all this stuff I'm saying. There's a cruise ship called the Westerdam. The Westerdam was looking for a place to dock. All of these countries were saying, no cruise ships. Y'all can't come here. Cambodia said yes. Okay, here is the dilemma. Cambodia said yes. They come to Cambodia. The Cambodian government tests them for the COVID-19. Nobody tests positive for it. So they let off over 1,000 people off the ship. And those they went back home. And come to find out that some of those people that got released off the Westerdam cruise were positive for the coronavirus. Wow. So that means they let people out. And so they've been scrambling trying to find everybody to get them, to test them, and to quarantine them. And so you let 1,000 people out who tested false negative, and they just spreading it. So that's another way how it spread it. And there was a woman, 83-year-old woman who tested positive for the coronavirus. Her test came back afterwards, and they put her on a plane with 144 well people, and they flew back to their country. And so now all of those people have been affected. And so now, here today, the World Health Organization came out and said, you know what? We're not going to say the word pandemic because we don't want to stoke fear. However, the World Health Organization does not have terminology like pandemic. So they already at the highest alert. In fact, they said that the globe should prepare for a pandemic, right? They're not ready to say a pandemic because people it'll just kill the markets, the economy, and everything. So here's the problem. Italy. For days and for weeks we were able to trace these cases outside of China back to China. So they could say, okay, this person was in Wuhan, they flew here, they was on a plane with them. They could kind of trace, back to China where the disease came from. The problem is that it got outside of China, and now they can't trace how the disease is getting to this place. So they saying, wait, the disease is popping up here, and nobody from Wuhan has been here. How is it spreading? And so that's what's happening in Italy. So in Italy, in the last few days, they went from 15 to 152 cases in one day with reported deaths. The whole northern part of the country of Italy is on lockdown. In fact, if you go to YouTube, they got armed police and military in the middle of the street with masks on, telling the people you cannot leave the city, go back home, because they're trying to quarantine and contain it, because they say that there is a patient zero, which is the person who is spreading it. They don't know who he or she is. And so they're trying to locate that person because there's a patient zero there that's spreading it. And so they're trying to contain it. So that's what's going on in Italy. And actually, Italy put in place a travel ban to China. So when word got out in December that that there was a virus spreading around China, Italy put a travel ban in place back then. And the problem is that there are a lot of people who work in China, and so they put a travel ban for the airplanes. But people travel to other cities and other towns, and they get on trains and they go back to work, and now it's spreading. All right, another thing, Korea, the continent of Korea. South Korea has become a hotbed for this virus. They're reporting over 800 cases, and they're still growing. Their parliament, they suspended their parliament and their government, and they said they found a super spreader. Now, I'm going to get into that here in a second. Now, we know that the United States government, the military, we have bases in South Korea. The United States government has basically locked down their base, and they are not allowing any non-military personnel to come or go inside of the military base. They ain't letting the personnel leave because it's crazy. So this is what's happening in South Korea. They're saying that there was a conference, some type of church conference, and they said that there was a super spreader there. Somebody who had the virus, and they attended that conference, and the conference had 1,000 people there, and they said that one person exposed all 1,000 of them. Now, normally when me and you get the flu, so me and my wife, if I get the flu, I can pass it on to her. Normally, if you get a flu, you might pass it on to one or two people. But somebody who's a super spreader, I guess somehow the virus attaches to them, and they they release a lot of it. So it's this particular church in South Korea where this woman, I believe it was a woman, you can go back, I'm going to put the playlist in, you'll see who it was, attended this play they was only there for an hour. She attended this conference, left, and everybody went home. And then 60 people from that particular conference went to the doctor because they were starting to get sick, respiratory and all of that. And they said the coronavirus, and they traced it all the way back to the church. And so all 1,000 of them, all 1,000 of those people who are in that church are showing symptoms. I'm going to talk to you about that here in a second. All right. So that's what's going on in South Korea. North Korea is not reporting anything, but we know that North Korea's government is kind of cut off from the world, and they do not have the health care or anything that even South Korea has. And so they're reporting that there is a lot of deaths and a lot of sick people there. All right, now, Iran. So remember that we're in the pandemic stage. It done got outside of China, and now it's spreading, and it's spreading uncontrollably. And One of the reasons why I'm on here is because I don't want you guys to be reactionary. I want you to be proactive. You don't wait for the government to tell you it's okay to start prepping for these things. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so in Iran, so what's been happening in Iran is the Chinese government has a lot of contracts with a lot of countries like Africa, Iran. So Iran is doing construction, and so the Chinese are building their buildings. And so they linked the outbreak to some Chinese construction workers in Iran. Now, Iran has not been reporting the severity of this thing because they're not trying to alarm their public. The problem is there's people in Iran saying that the situation is worsening. And this is an email that a doctor got from one of his colleagues, that there are reports of deaths by the hour. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkey, Armenia, and all of the surrounding countries of Iran have closed their borders. They will, if you're from Iran, you can't get in there. Now, what they're saying is that Iran has a gigantic outbreak of this particular COVID-19, and the fear is because the severity of the cases is so rapid, meaning a bunch of severe cases, not mild cases, but people who really, really got this thing and people are dying. They're saying they fear that the COVID-19 has mutated and taken on a stronger form, and which has been more deadlier. And so the reason why they World Health Organization and other people believe that the situation in Iran is much more worse than what they are reporting is because what's the likelihood of, if it's only 10 people in the whole country of Iran who got it, what's the likelihood of that person getting on a plane and going to Britain and infecting them? It's very low, and that's what's happened. There have been people from Iran that went to different countries and they've been infecting people. So that means that you got a disease problem in Iran. And so they are trying to get a hold of that. In fact, one of the government officials in Iran has reported to have contracted the disease. All right. Now, the problem is this virus has started clustering in different places of the world, and now it's untraceable. Now, here's the problem with the disease. The disease can be asymptomatic, which means you show no symptoms. So this was the problem with sending people back to their countries. Initially, let me remind you, there is no cure for this, and they're still learning what this disease does. It attacks your respiratory system, your lungs, and it essentially just basically shuts your lungs down, and then you die. But what happened was, for 14 days, they would quarantine the people. They would say, okay, after 14 days, you know, your symptoms should subside, you should get better, and then you can go. And so that was what the initial quarantine was, 14 days. But then they realized that people have been asymptomatic or having no symptoms for 30 days and have a high viral load in them. So for example, I got the flu. I'm not showing no symptoms of the flu, but I got the virus in me, and that virus is still spreading. And so now they found out that they don't release people who were showing no symptoms of the disease back into other states and cities and countries. So the virus is spreading rapidly. There was a doctor on the Diamond Princess, which is the cruise ship that was in Japan, and he got on there the first day. He was an infectious disease doctor. He got on there and was trying to help them, and he got kicked off because he was saying, hey, y'all need to have some order. This is crazy. And so they kicked him off. And so he went to YouTube and he made a video in Japanese and in English. And in his video, he said that when he went there, he was so alarmed at the breakdown in trying to quarantine and restrain this disease that he was afraid. And he had hazmat suits on and everything, and he was afraid to go back home, and so he quarantined himself from his family. He said on the ship, there was no designation between the red or the green zone, meaning there was no designation between who was sick and who was not. So everybody was blended together, and you didn't know where the sickness was. And then there were a lot of healthcare workers and a lot of people who didn't have the proper personal protection equipment on. And there was one woman who actually said, she was helping, and they was like, where's your mask and stuff? She said, I'm straight, I already got it, but she helping, because, you know what I'm saying? So it's ridiculous what's going on. Now, let me tell you this. The reason why the American government and the World Health Organization and other places have not been saying the word pandemic is because the world economy will react. Just today, the Dow Jones dropped 900 points just based off of the coronavirus scare because it's popping up. Now, if you look at a map, right, if you can envision a map, a flat map, and that's the map of the world, and it's got all the continents on it, and you find China, and you put a red dot on China, and everywhere there's an outbreak, you put a red dot. Well, in the beginning, you can see individual red dots. Now, the whole globe is turning red, and it's moving west. When you look at our newspapers in America, it says Roger Stone, Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, Harvey Weinstein, D. Wade. It's saying all of that stuff in there, but they ain't talking about the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? If you go, they might have some stuff in there in the back about it, but now it's starting to get serious. And now you're about to start seeing front page news, the coronavirus. You can probably go to CNN, and maybe every 10 minutes, they start talking about the coronavirus, because it is very, very serious. And they're not trying to scare everybody, because if you scare everybody, people going to stay home, stuff going to break down, So that's the reason why the World Health Organization has not said global pandemic. They said that the window is narrowing and that we right at the door, but that all countries should be prepared. All countries should be prepared. Now, no country would be prepared. Let me tell you why. Because, for example, if, say, 20% of the population who get this got a severe case, all of our hospitals would be overwhelmed. We wouldn't have enough hospital beds and stuff for people. And that's what's happening. I told you, in Italy, armed police and military are telling people to stay in your city, do not leave. In China, they're welding people into their houses. They got drones flying around telling people, put your mask on, get back in the house. They spraying, you know how farmers and stuff, they fly those planes and they dust those crops. Well, they doing that with disinfected over cities with millions and millions of people. You know what I'm saying? They're suspending Congress and Parliament. And this thing has gotten out of control. So this is for my guys in the neighborhoods. I want you to, don't listen to me. Just research it and see for yourself. And I want you to prepare. So this is what you can do to prepare. Before I get to that, back on the economic thing. Just last week, Apple said that they're not going to hit their numbers for the quarter because of coronavirus. You see some other tech companies talking about the supply chain distribution has been interrupted. So China has 700 million people on lockdown. That means about almost a great percentage of that is not working. So that means business ain't flowing. When business ain't flowing, the economy breaks down. And so that's what the fear is. The economy is booming right now all over the world, and they're trying to keep that up. But the problem is, it's not a matter if when it's going to happen in America. It's a matter of when. If it's going to happen, it's a matter of when. It's here. And so let me tell you why it's here. A lot of those people who were infected that were American citizens, they have came to the United States. We have some in San Antonio in quarantine. We have some on the West Coast quarantine. There's a city in California, I think it's Santa Mesa, Costa Mesa. There's a city, and they're suing the United States government because they're suing the world. They're suing the CDC, the White House, the Department of Defense. They're suing the state of California because the United States government is trying to use their city as a place to quarantine people who are sick with the coronavirus. And they want to use this residential center that's dilapidated. Now, right now, they're on an Air Force base. I don't know why they would need to remove them from an Air Force base to this halfway house. But the problem is they letting people free, and they ain't showing no symptoms, and it's spreading. And it is here in the United States, and it's likely to spread. It's likely to spread. So what can you do? Now, what if I was you? I would definitely be paying attention, and I would definitely be stocking up on water. They don't know what to do. The only thing they can do is quarantine us, because there is no cure. So the only thing they can do is quarantine you. So I would start stacking up on bottled water. I definitely you should definitely get you some bleach, get you some disinfectant. For all my people like in Michigan, you know how when it used to get cold and we used to put that plastic up on our windows. You know, you get that plastic and that duct tape. You get you some plastic, get you some duct tape, get you some perishable food and items. Get you enough stuff to last you about 60 days. Lights, batteries, candles, fill that deep freezer up, all that type of stuff. You'd rather be safe than sorry. Now, if you think I'm crazy and you think I'm just on here, I'm a conspiracy theorist and all of that, then that's on you. But you'd rather be safe than sorry. So where can you find these things? Surgical masks and all that stuff, they're getting sold out. You know what I'm saying? And places like Italy and places where the virus is spreading rapidly, the supermarkets are getting, all the water is off the shelves and everything, so you can't find nothing. So I was able to go to Family Dollar. So right now, the United States ain't on, level 9. The people ain't on level 9, but the government is on level 9 as far as awareness about what's going on. So you can go to Family Dollar. I went to Family Dollar today, and I found these. This is a protective mask, and it's for dust. It's for planting, it's for mowing, for paint, fiberglass, stuff like that. This ain't a heavy-duty mask, but it's 6 of them in this thing, and I bought it for $1. So I bought all of them. So go to Family Dollar and find these. It's normally like in the, wherever your paint stuff at, but it's 6 for $1. You want to get that. You know what I'm saying? So stock up on your water. Get you some masks. Get you some plastic. Get you some duct tape. Get you some perishable items. Get you some batteries. Get you some flashlights. Get you enough food. And let your situation last for about 60 days, because it's taking about 14 days to basically get a true diagnosis for them to actually see that you got it. And then it takes another 14 days after that for the incubation period. And then they want to watch you for another 14 days. So we got to be prepared for the long haul. All throughout the Bible talks about God saying, and this shall be a sign. I will show you a sign. There shall be a sign. Well, I'm telling you what the signs is. The sign is we are at a global pandemic, and the World Health Organization all but said that we had a global pandemic. And what a global pandemic means is that sooner than later, this situation is going to be at your doorstep, and you are going to be faced with some hard decisions. And so if I was you, I would prepare. If I was you, I would be praying. If I was you, I wouldn't be scared, not to be afraid, but I don't want you to be reactionary. And so that's what's going to happen with the World Health Organization. When the World Health Organization say the word pandemic, it's going to be a reaction. It ain't proactive. It's going to be we already going to be been at a pandemic when they say the word pandemic, because like the president of the World Health Organization said today, he doesn't want to use the word pandemic because he don't want to stoke fear and make people so afraid that whole economies shut down. But I just want you guys to be aware of what's going on with this COVID-19. Remember, it's spreading like wildfire. People are dying. Primarily people with already issues, older people, people in their mid-30s. This disease has no face, has no age. It is dangerous. It's dangerous. And reports have come out that this disease indeed came from a lab, and so a lot of us thought that, and that's what happened. The Chinese government allowed the World Health Organization to come in and help them finally, and so they were able to see that some of these patterns appear to have come from a lab. And guess what? China only has one weaponized biochemistry lab, a level 4 lab, which is a lab where they work on the most extreme cases of viruses and chemical warfare. They have a level 4 lab. They only have one. And guess where is that? Wuhan, China, the epicenter of this disease. So I just want y'all to be share this video to your homeboys, to your friends. Tell them to listen to it. All I'm trying to do is just give you awareness. I'm going to put a link so y'all can check out the playlist to some of the information I've been sharing with you from organizations and from news media from outside of the country, and actually in the countries where people are facing these devastating crises. So definitely, man, let's just stay on our P's and Q's. Let's stay prayerful, and let's fight this thing. Let's fight this thing. Let's fight it with being proactive, and let's fight it with prayer. So I'm Reverend Kelly, man. I'm signing off, but I just wanted to update you and let you know the facts about the COVID-19, what you should do and what you should not do. Holla. Yeah, you're right, Mary. The doctor that discovered the coronavirus died. He died, yes. And let me tell you a story about that. You guys can do the research on that. And I think I might have that video inside of the playlist. But yes, there was a Dr. Lee. I think his name is Dr. Henry Lee. He was a doctor in Wuhan, China. He was just a regular medical doctor. And so he saw an uptick in these flu-like symptoms, people coming to the hospital with respiratory issues, coughing and stuff. And he like, man, this is not normally how it happens in flu season. This is kind of, this is kind of high. It's a lot of people. Like, man, I look inside of the lobby and I'm seeing everybody hacking and coughing and sick. And so he sent out an email to his students just saying, hey, you guys, when you're in the hospital, I noticed this. If you notice it too, just make sure you prepare yourself. You know what I'm saying? And somehow it got out, and the Chinese government, they arrested him, and they made him sign a document saying that he was spreading false lies and rumors, trying to stoke fear in the community. And they said the only way we'll release you is if you sign this document. And so he signed it, which discredits him, which means if he was to go and say anything again, they can say, hey, you just signed this paper saying that you was lying. And they sent him back, and he ended up getting very sick from the virus because he was working with people with it, and he ended up dying. And this is the crazy part about the Chinese government. When word got out that Dr. Lee died, the Chinese government ordered the hospital to put him back on life support. He was already dead. They ordered the hospital to put him back on life support so they can say that he was still alive, because they did not want the news to get out that the whistleblower of the coronavirus has died from the coronavirus. But then they eventually fessed up to it and said that he died, and then the information got out. So it's very, very serious, man. I'm not trying to get you to be afraid. I'm just trying to get you to pay attention. Be, wake up, be aware, of what's going on. Pay attention to everything around you, 360 degrees, man. You know what I'm saying? Just be conscious. Be conscious of what's going on. And normally if the government says that this ain't happening, that means that it is happening. So if they tell you, don't worry about that over there, that means you should worry about that over there. But once again, man, this Reverend Kelley, man, I'm signing off once again. Peace, love, and hair grease to all my people. Let's pray. Let's be prepared. Stock up on your water, stock up on your perishables. Share this video to your family and friends. Talk about this thing, because it's the black community, it's the brown community, it's the poor white community that's going to be affected by this. The poor people, it's us that's in the ghetto, us in the neighborhoods, those of us who might not have life insurance, might not have money to go to the hospital and all of that. We are the ones that's going to be affected. So all of these people who you see on the news, on the front cover of the newspaper, instead of them having coronavirus spreading rapidly throughout the world, on the newspaper, they got Nancy Pelosi, they got Donald Trump, Harvey Weinstein, Bernie Sanders. They got all of these people on the front page news. And you know what? All of them good. They got the best health care in the world. And in fact, all of them is going to get the information before you. So that's all I just want to let you know, man. Wake up. Holla.